Hey everyone, so first really big upgrade on the Fiesta today. So we're going to be going up to Mondeo and ST170 brakes on the Fiesta, so let's get going. Okay, yeah, so this was actually a sponsored video. This was sponsored with APD. They've been a long time supporter of the channel, and what they've done is they've come together and made a big brake kit for these Fiestas. So I believe this will work with any Mark 6 as long as you've got the discs all round. They have provided pretty much everything. I'm going to put a link up to it, to the kit, in the description of this video as well. The only thing I had to buy in was the carriers. And you might have to possibly get the 12mm bolts for the front as well. Anything I've bought I'll put a link to in the description, but like I say, APD put this good kit together. It's all Ferodo, Bilstein, all the other bits and pieces. So it's all high quality stuff that they've put together in this kit, and we're going to be getting it on the Fiesta and going out for a test drive after to see what it's like to drive. So let's get cracking. Okay, so the first job is just going to be getting we're going to start on the fronts really. There's no handbrake cables or anything to worry about on the front, so we're going to get the front up same as we did on some of the other videos, same as the spacers. We're going to go in from the middle, jack up the whole front, put the axle stands in, get both front wheels off and start on those front brakes. So let's go ahead and get the front of the vehicle up. Yeah, so that's the vehicle up. So we're just going to get these caps off, get the nuts off, get the wheel off, and then we'll start looking a bit more in depth at actually sort of taking these brakes apart and getting them replaced. So yeah, let's do this first bit. Done that before. Okay, so once you've got the wheel off, this is what we're left with. This is what we're going to be replacing. So effectively everything here and this is all going to be replaced now with 300mm. So we're going up to the Mondeo ST220s. So we're going to need bigger carriers, bigger calipers and bigger discs. So the first part is going to be getting all of this apart. Bit we're going to start with is getting the caliper off. So you've got these little sort of rubber grommet bits here. If I try and get this to focus, the end on these, if you've got them on there, should just pull out. So you've got the little cap, and inside the back here is a number 7 Allen key. So that will be what goes into here. That locks in, and you're going to use that to undo it. There it goes. That's going to allow us to take this off. Once we've got that free, we can then start looking at doing the brake line, moving that away, and then hanging it up and sort of zip tying it somewhere else. But we want to get the caliper sort of upside down really, so we're not sort of just bleeding all the fluid out of here whilst we're going. So yeah, first job getting that bit off. It's just that one there, and there's one on the bottom as well under here. I'll quickly see if I can get that on camera. Okay, so when looking from underneath, you've just got this secondary rubber grommet here. It's a similar concept. Pull the cap off, and in there will be your Allen key. So I'm going to try and get this to focus. There you go. There's your Allen key joint there. So that's the two we're going to be undoing. It's the one at the top and the one at the bottom here. Okay, so we've got those two rubber grommets off. It's going to move those back out the way. And we're going to attempt to undo these, which they might be very tight, so there might be a bit of mechanical assistance needed. Hey, there we go. Once you get that first bit, it turns quite easy. Yeah, and then up. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, he's coming now. So, just going to push the screws on out. There we go.
Polite once you freed it.
That's it, yeah. Just pushing them out a little bit further just so they're fully out the way. I don't want them catching. Okay, so the next bit is just going to be getting these out, these little spring clips. We've undone these, and I've pulled these all the way out now. So they're fully out the way. There's a little gap in here you can just test. I got the little screwdriver in there and just shimmied it along until it was all the way out the way once it was undone. So now we're just going to undo these little spring clips, and they're probably going to go twang. Oh, there we go. So we should, in theory, this will probably be fairly tight maybe, but... Aha. And ta-da! There comes our first caliper. There's our disc nicely in there. I'm just going to turn that over and just hang it there for now. This one should slide out, and that is going to be cable tied up so it doesn't fall down. Oh no, you can rest there for now. There we go, so that's that bit off. Alright, so yeah, next step, we're going to take the carrier off, get the disc off, and then we're going to start moving on to the next steps for you. Okay, so I apologise for the glare in here, but this bolt here, and this bolt up here, so on the back of the carrier, I'm trying to get the lighting in here really. So you've got two bolts on the back of the hub here, and these are the ones that hold in the carrier. So we're going to undo these. These will probably be exceptionally tight. So we've got the breaker bars, and these are the holes we're going to have to drill out to 12mm to accommodate the new carriers. The back should be fine, we shouldn't have to do those, but these are the two that we're going to have to drill out to make sure we can get that new bigger carrier on for the bigger discs. So let's go ahead and see if we can get these two bolts off and see how that goes. Okay, so the two bolts here and here, they are 13s. I'm just going to give them a quick wire brush just to clean them off a little bit, make sure I don't touch this rubber boot here. So I've got the 13mm on there. I have a sneaky suspicion we're probably going to need the breaker bar to loosen these off. So get on and grip properly.
Going round, is it?
Yeah, that feels like it.
Okay, now. Wow.
That's bottom one. I'm happy with that. That's a result.
That's the one that normally give you the most grief out of it.
I mean, it's not easy, but they're coming free. Yeah, I reckon we can get an all ratchet on that now. Right, here's the bottom one. There we go. There's the top one, and there goes the carrier. Okay, so that's that carrier now out of the way, and we should, in theory, just be able to, oh, he's heavy, get the old disc off. So now we're left down to the bare hub. So now the next part is going to be separating the line from here, effectively getting the new caliper, putting it straight back onto the new caliper immediately, putting the caliper back here as this one is laid out, and then just putting this stuff back together again. Okay, so the next step we're going to do now is we're going to be drilling these two holes out to 12mm. So they are 10mm at the moment. I've just got a nice brand new 12mm drill bit, and like I say, we're just going to get those up to 12mm, and that's going to allow for the new bolts on that new carrier. There we go. Perfect. Okay, so now that we've got that off, we're going to get our nice 300mm discs on there. So these are wonderful new ones from APD. They are massive. So that is just going to slide nicely on there. And that's going to be the carrier, same as before. So I'm going to move the camera around to the back and show me getting the bolts in for that one there. Brain fart. Okay, so I'm just going to get the lovely new carriers on there. So I'm just going to slide these in and get these bolts on as best as I can. Okay, so we're just going to get those done up tight now. So, where's my 15? No rubbing?
Nope.
Spot on centered?
Yep.
Wonderful. Right, now,
Torquey.
okay, we'll set this to 70 Newton meters on the torque wrench.
Maybe a few more there, actually. Looks about right.
Yeah. Go on it, there we go. There we go. That's 70 Newton meters, we've done that too. And that is absolutely solid. Okay, so that's that on, nice and secure. So we're going to secure the disc now. And obviously I have got the spacer, so that's going to go back on there. Clean the back face up a little bit again. I'm just going to put a little bit of grease back on here as we did last time. Not a lot. It's just there to stop any corrosion between the two. So there we go. That's that back on. That's secured the disc as well now. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the line off of this caliper and we're going to get the new one straight on it immediately so we get as least amount of fluid come out as possible. We're going to be bleeding them anyway, but there's no point spilling fluid everywhere and just leaving the line or anything else. So we're going to get the line off of there, immediately get it on the new one and then start going through it for you, showing everything else. So let's crack on. Okay, so we're going to get the pads in first before we start doing all this, just because it's a bit fiddly getting these in. We've got the back ones in. So when you look at these, you've got this sort of system here, and that is springy. And the idea is, when you put them in, they've got to go in square, and you push against that spring on the top and bottom, and then they'll go in. It's a bit fiddly. I'm trying to sort of, I'd normally lean over it a bit more and get the wrong thing, but there you go. So that's that one in, and then when you want to take them out, you just pull these tabs, and that will remove them. But it's basically, it's a spring clip here and here. That's creating that sort of tension to keep those in there. So that's the two sets of pads in now. So we're going to progress on to taking this caliper off, immediately putting the new one on, which is this one, which is massive in comparison. And we're going to get this bad boy on, and then we're going to, so we'll get that side done, and then we'll move on to the rears. Okay, so now we're going to remove this bolt here. It seems to be an 11. It seems to be in the grips at the tightest, 11mm. We're going to undo that one, that's going to come out, and we're going to immediately get it into our new one. Okay, yeah, so we're going to be getting this on. And what we're going to do is going to slide this on, pushing these pistons in, and putting the bolt in from the back here, and that is going to screw into the back of that slider pin. So I'll show you once it's on, but let's go ahead and get these on. And that's two. That's the two bolts on. We're just going to get those tightened up. We're just going to get these done up. They are 13s. Sorry.
Yeah, 13 was on the carrier, wasn't it?
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to get these done up now. So, like I said, these are 12mm, sorry, on the back here.
Probably a bit too much, but there you go.
There we go. There we go. Curious we're ever going to get, I think. So that is that done, and now it's going to be taking the rest of the line off of there and screwing it into the back on this caliper. Okay, so we're going to take the rest of this off, and I'm going to have to be as quick as I can. Like I say, it's not, you know, life altering or threatening, it's just one of those things where you want to sort of waste as little fluid as possible and get as little air in there as possible, really, when doing this kind of thing. That's him up.
Cooking much?
No, we're good. And into the back there. Make sure he's lined up and actually going in properly. That is that tight in there. So let's show you what we've done. Okay, so on the old caliper, that was the hole there. Sorry for the focus. There we go. So that was the old hole there that we've unscrewed from. And we've just turned the line down and immediately gone in here and threaded that in. Obviously I did it mostly by hand, just because I want to make sure I'm not threading it, and that's an easy way to tell, because if it suddenly becomes very, very tight on your hand, it's evident it's going to be threaded. If you're doing it with a spanner straight away, you can end up chewing into it. So I've done it by hand and then done the nip at the end with the spanner. But that is that done. Barely spilt any fluid. I think I spilt that, which is all that came out, which is good. And now that line is in there nice and secure. So that is that side done. So that is, you know, your front brakes upgraded to the Mondeo ones, and they look awesome. They are huge. Okay, so that's the passenger side done. I thought I'd just do a quick time lapse for that, but that is that all together on there. So we're going to go ahead and bleed the brakes now. I'll probably do a separate video on bleeding brakes, and I'll just do a time lapse for this one again. So yeah, now we've got both of those done, we're going to bleed them, bed the pistons in properly, get the wheels back on and move on to the rears. So yeah, let's go ahead and get this bled. Okay, so that's the fronts on now, completely done, with the wheels back on, etc, and all bled out. Pedal was nice and solid, which is good. So yeah, we're going to move on to the rears now. I think it's going to be much the same as the front in terms of the general setup. So it might be a bit more quick paced for the rears, other than the handbrake cable. I think it's much the same setup. So we're going to be going to the ST170s on the rear. This is the Mondeo 220. That's the ST170 on the rear. Let's say I'll put the link up to the kit in the description, so everything will be there for you anyway. Everything that I used at least. And yeah, let's crack on and do the rear. Okay, so we've got the wheel off, got these off, these are undone as well, so these will come off in a second. So this is much the same setup as before, except there's no Allen key here, it's actually bolts. Where we had the cap you pulled off and had the Allen key in there, but on the fronts, it's now a bolt here instead, and we've got bolts for the carriers here. But other than that, it is much the same process as before, of getting the caliper out, getting this out. So the only addition is going to be the handbrake, but we're going to unhook that as we unhook the caliper. So that's going to be the only difference. So I'm just going to sort of rush through this and just do a time lapse of getting it all apart, because it is pretty much identical to the fronts, just a bolt instead of an Allen key on there. Okay, so we're taking it off apart. Well, taking it all apart now to the point where we can just get the brake line off. In terms of getting the handbrake off, it was actually fairly easy. Just undid the spring off the bottom here, pulled this forward, and then unhooked this, and then pulled it through there. So obviously it's coming through here and hooked on here. We literally just undid that spring, pulled it back, because obviously there's no tension on it anymore. Pulled it back, pulled it through there, and that unhooked. So super simple. I say everything else is pretty much identical as the fronts. It's just bolts rather than Allen keys on those bits, and the fact you've got a handbrake attachment, which was super easy to take off. So we're gonna start putting it all back together now with the new stuff. Like I say, it's all going to be ST170 things, so slightly bigger on here. But other than that, that's it all done for you. So let's crack on and do the next bit. Okay, so we are running out of light now, unfortunately, so I'm probably just going to time lapse the rest of this. But the only difference is there's 4 bolts on the back of here. So you got this this sort of join here on this backing plate here. There are 4 bolts. There's one that's remaining there. There were 3 others. Basically this backing plate here touches that disc, so we've got to get rid of that now. So you've got to undo those 4 bolts. This will drop off, so be careful of that. Once that's off, you're going to have to cut a little line just to get the ABS line out. I can't be bothered to start messing around with the ABS out of this, so I'm just going to cut a gap in there, slide this out of the way, and then we can get the disc on and get it all back together again. So there's a couple of extra things to think about on the rear here, but yeah, to be honest, it's not a huge fuss. To be honest, it's just a little bit more thinking about, you know, what you're doing and everything else. But much the same as the fronts, just apart from those 4 bolts and the handbrake, to be honest. So let's crack on and get the rest of this done whilst we've still got a tiny bit of light left.